Live on the phone, we have the mayor of Enid joining us once again. David Mason, we appreciate the time. It is now about 3.5 hours since that tornado first touched down in your city. What is the latest from where you stand?
So they're still searching. They've divided up. They've got teams put together where they're doing it on specific quadrants so that they know. You've seen where they go in and they do the spray paint, and they know that they cleared an area completely. They're telling me that everyone is accounted for, though, but they just want to make sure and go through that. So hopefully all the injuries were just minor, but I can't confirm that for sure, but that's what I'm starting to hear. So we're very fortunate that we might get out of this without people that are short of property damage. At least maybe they aren't harmed too terribly bad.
And Mayor, that's what we're hearing from the emergency crews there on scene as well, which is just, I mean, truly a miracle when you think about what they've just been through with the tornado emergency coming through town there on the south sides of Enid. So when you say that crews are still searching, is that OHP that is searching that specific area of Gray Ridge? Are there other areas as well that they're going to be dividing and looking at specifically?
Yeah, so it's a unified effort. There's multiple teams here, not just OHP, Enid PD. We've got the base fire department. We've got our fire department. We've got search and rescue from some other towns around the area. They've brought their teams in, and they've divided them all up into units. And so it's a joint force. And as far as other areas, yes, our county our county sheriff's department, Sheriff Corey Rink, his team's been out in the country and trying to follow that path and make sure we don't have any rural homes that were destroyed, and we have people that need help out there. So they've been out checking on that, and I have not got that report, but the good news is I haven't got a report that they found anybody that's hurt. So that's good also.
I wanted to ask you too, Mayor, I've been talking with someone whose home was severely damaged in that neighborhood, if not destroyed. He's working to figure that out right now. And he said that he was, it sounds like maybe having to wait on some sort of official or first responder to go in there with him to reevaluate his home. I'm assuming this is obviously just a safety issue. So what is that process like for people who want to go back in, if they are homeowners, to evaluate their property? He also told me that his phone's about to die, which is another, added problem that you might not think about with these people who are dealing with this very traumatic situation.
So it is a safety issue. And as I said earlier, once they have cleared an area, we have the construction crews of the large equipment, the heavy equipment ready. I mean, it's honestly parked out in the road just waiting to go in and clear those roads. And once that happens, and once we're sure that there's not anybody else that we need to find, and we can clear that, make sure that it's safe, our PD will start letting people go back in there and check on their homes. So we just need, right now, we're not letting anyone go in there, even the teams, without knowing their names. So we know exactly how many people go in and how many people come out. So it's strictly for safety protocol.
Okay.
Mayor, we are hearing from some people who say, I want to help. How can I help? And I know you are asking people to stay back, to keep the roads open for the crews that are going in there. What do you suggest for people who, are watching and they want to find a way to help out folks there in Enid, find a way to give back and do their part?
This guy just asked me, he has supplies for search and rescue and cleanup, but like Jess said, doesn't know really how to get there.
Well, so right now, I would say let's just wait and see, because we don't know yet what we need. We've got churches that have called and volunteered to allow anyone that needs to come in there and stay that might have lost their home, or it's not in a situation where they can move back into it right now. So I think we have all the resources we need right now, but I think tomorrow or later on tonight we will have a little better assessment on that. So I would appreciate everyone that's calling, wanting to help, but right now we just need to find out exactly how extensive the damage is, assess it, and then probably tomorrow I'll put out some kind of a press release, or our city team will. And for those people that want to help, we'll have some ideas, better ideas then. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Like Jess said, Oklahomans, when they see something like this, if they're not directly impacted, they want to help. As we see a Hennessy first responder, looks like a fire truck moving through. I know you all have resources coming in essentially from all over the state. Damon, our chief meteorologist, he was just mentioning the ongoing weather, the lightning that has moved through there, the thunderstorms. Our reporters are also seeing some flooding. How has the ongoing weather that moved in behind the tornadoes, how has that impacted your response, your recovery, and your rescues?
Well, it hadn't helped, but I think most of our teams, they have the equipment that they need and all-weather gear. So I'm not going to say that the weather slowed them down. We do want to be cautious with the lightning. That's always dangerous whenever you're outside and around lightning like that. But, hopefully some of this will just pass on over and it'll clear out and allow us to continue to do what these guys are very, very equipped to do. So.
These ambulances with lights.
Yeah, go ahead, Abby, what you were going to say.
Well, we're taking a live shot here. I think this is from Dakota's picture, and we're seeing lots of first responders with their lights flashing. Looks like fire trucks, maybe some brush pumpers and ambulances. Are they transporting someone, or are they leaving the area going? There's another fire truck. Are they going somewhere else where they maybe have learned that they're needed there?
I have not heard that they're needed anywhere else. I think they have just been staging.
Okay.
And so as far as the ambulances, I talked to one of the drivers a while ago. I think they've taken a couple people to the hospital, but I think they're just waiting around to see if they are needed.
Okay.
I just don't think that I think they're just sitting there kind of waiting until their service is needed.
Okay, Enid Mayor David Mason, we appreciate your time. Thanks for giving us an update there.